Imagine trusting a simple can of soup or tuna for a quick meal only to find out that, for anyone over 60, that innocent can might be hiding silent threats that attack your heart, memory, or even put your life at risk without you ever seeing the danger coming. If you're like most people over 60, there are foods you've relied on your whole life. Those convenient cans tucked away in your pantry, always ready for a rainy day or a night when cooking just feels impossible. But here's a shocker. As we get older, the foods you once trusted most can quietly turn into your body's worst enemy. Seniors are uniquely vulnerable to the hidden risks in canned foods. Chemicals, heavy metals, bacteria you can neither smell nor taste, and sodium or added sugars that quietly undermine your heart and kidneys. There's nothing more frustrating than taking your medications, watching your diet, and still struggling with swelling, fatigue, memory lapses, or sudden surges in blood pressure, right? Or maybe you've noticed those little moments, getting dizzy when you stand up, feeling tired after a salt-heavy meal, or lying awake at night, worrying about why your heart races or your ankles swell. Research from leading institutions like the Mayo Clinic, Harvard, and the Cleveland Clinic has highlighted how certain additives and chemicals in common canned foods may put older adults at higher risk for hypertension, kidney trouble, and even memory problems. Some experts have even called out that Europe now bans certain chemicals and metals still found in common U.S. canned goods. Yet these very cans remain on American supermarket shelves, quietly threatening your independence, one bite at a time. Have you ever wondered why, after a quick canned snack, you start to feel bloated, tired, or unwell? Or maybe you keep reaching into the cupboard for the same brands, simply because it's what you've always done. Could the real problem lie inside those shiny cans you've trusted for years? Let me take you through a few quick stories. There's Robert, a retired postman, who for months kept gaining fluid and seeing his blood pressure rise. He thought his medication stopped working, but all along it was his daily safe lunch of Vienna sausages that loaded his system with sodium and chemicals every day. Or Mary, who loved her bowl of soup each evening, until those silent sodium bombs pushed her right to the edge of heart failure. These aren't rare tales. Millions are living this right now, often without any warning. Now, let's look behind the familiar labels and see the truth that every senior deserves to know. This video is for educational purposes only and should not be considered medical advice. Let's open the first can, one that many of you remember from childhood. Vienna sausages. They might seem harmless, soft, and easy to eat. But for anyone over 60, they are a ticking health hazard. Imagine eating a small can containing nearly 1,000 milligrams of sodium, almost 3/4 of your entire safe daily limit. Especially dangerous for anyone on blood pressure or heart medications. And we all know most people eat the entire can. That sodium spike forces your heart and kidneys to work overtime, sometimes undoing days' worth of careful medication management in one salty snack. Research suggests that fast, high sodium loads may be especially dangerous for seniors, because our bodies can't process excess salt the way we could in our youth. But there's more. Low-sodium versions might swap salt for potassium chloride, a healthy ingredient unless your kidneys are aging, or you're on common medications like ACE inhibitors or certain diuretics. For seniors, extra potassium can quietly set off dangerous heart rhythms. You might think you can smell if a can is bad, but when it comes to botulism, the lethal bacteria that sometimes sneaks into canned meats, you can't rely on your senses at all. The CDC notes that Clostridium botulinum is odorless and tasteless, and just a single faulty seal has led to mass recalls in recent years, including recalls of over 2 million pounds of canned meats, especially for those over 60. Your natural immunity and organ reserve just aren't as strong as before. Inside the can, chemicals like BPA, or its alternatives line almost every sausage can in the US, despite Europe dropping safe levels to almost zero, citing hormonal disruption concerns. These chemicals can leach into high-fat foods and are now being questioned as a potential risk factor for diabetes and hormone-sensitive cancers. Don't forget the nitrites that keep sausages pink, recognized by the World Health Organization as a Group 1 carcinogen. Let's not stop there. If you thought the soft, easy-to-eat style was a benefit, here's the downside. It makes overconsumption dangerously easy for seniors already battling swelling or brittle bones. The phosphates and sodium in these sausages can quietly tip the scales toward frailty or even a fall. If you want the convenience and protein, switch to no-salt tuna mixed with rinsed beans, or scramble some eggs with spinach. Not only do you skip the chemical soup, but you're feeding your muscles and your heart instead of setting traps for them. Now, canned tuna. For younger adults, it's an affordable, healthy fish, but for those over 60, the mercury content in many tuna cans builds up in the body over time, often staying in the brain and kidneys for years. That means symptoms like memory problems, tremors, or kidney stress can creep in quietly sometimes long after the fish is gone. Not all tuna is the same. Albacore white tuna can have 3 times more mercury than light skipjack varieties. For a senior with slower kidney function or memory concerns, research suggests these accumulations could cause even greater harm. And if your tuna warms up before it gets canned, natural histidine can turn into histamine, a culprit behind sudden bouts of flushing, itching, a racing heartbeat, or even symptoms that mimic a heart attack. It's not rare either. Histamine poisoning has led to food recalls in recent years. Botulism remains another worry. A seal failure may mean no warning signs, just invisible, deadly risk. Multiple brands recalled their tuna in 2008 for this very reason. With aging immune systems, one slip is all it takes. The sodium in tuna isn't an afterthought either. Flavored packets and certain brands can deliver hundreds of milligrams of sodium per serving. Reduced sodium labels can be misleading, as they sometimes sneak in potassium chloride, a problem for anyone on kidney or heart medications. As with Vienna sausages, it's easy to forget that what's safe for a 20-year-old can be dangerous for someone over 60. Even if you stick with tuna, the can itself may pose risks. BPA and its chemical cousins, like BPS or BPF, leach especially easily from the lining, particularly into moist, protein-rich foods. Europe bans BPA in food packaging outright, while most U.S. can simply switch to the next chemical. In-line one that researchers say may have similar hormone-disrupting effects. If you crave canned fish, choose wild salmon or sardines packed in water. They are typically lower in mercury, offer more omega-3s for your heart and brain, and are less likely to contain unwanted additives or metals. Now, let's talk canned soup. Everyone loves the ease of a quick, warm bowl, especially on cold days. But what you may not see is the triple threat inside nearly every can. Toxic bacteria, if the sterilization fails, a silent sodium overload, and sneaky potassium swaps if you're not careful. Botulism. Risk is real in low-acid foods like canned chicken noodle or beef stews. Manufacturing errors can turn a wholesome-looking can into a toxin bomb, and you won't know until it's too late. The FDA and CDC repeatedly warn that you should never eat from a bulging, leaking, or spurting can. For older adults with less robust immune defenses, there's less margin for error. But let's focus on salt. A normal bowl of condensed soup or chunky stew can add up to 1,000 milligrams or more of sodium, almost your full daily recommended limit. If you're struggling with swelling, difficult to control blood pressure, or kidney disease, these numbers are especially alarming. Research from the American Heart Association and Cleveland Clinic has long highlighted the role of excess sodium in accelerating heart disease and strokes, especially in those over 60. To save money or appeal to health-conscious shoppers, many low-sodium soups substitute potassium chloride for salt. But this poses a hidden danger for seniors with kidney or heart conditions. The extra potassium can silently lead to abnormal heart rhythms, a risk that grows as our kidneys age. Chemicals are also part of the ingredient list. Soup cans traditionally use BPA linings, now being swapped for BPS and BPF. Add in phosphate stabilizers for texture and starchy or sugary thickeners. And your quick meal may act more like a chemical cocktail than comfort food. If you need soup on a cold day, go for homemade options using frozen veggies, beans, and a no-salt broth. It's fast, affordable, and allows you to control sodium and additives. Or, at the very least, pick certified low-sodium canned soups, 40 milligrams or less per serving, and always transfer leftovers into a glass container instead of storing them in opened cans. Ready for another pantry staple gone wrong: canned chili. This hearty, spicy meal may seem like an easy dinner, but for those 60 and above, it packs a lethal combo botulism risk: sodium sores, sneaky potassium swaps, and a full suite of additives and chemical linings. Low acid. Meat-rich foods like chili require near-perfect sterilization to be safe. A single batch that slips market regulations can quickly lead to large-scale recalls. The 2007 U.C. botulism outbreak linked to canned chili showed how fast these dangers can become very real, with victims hospitalized for weeks. Then, the sodium. A single cup averages 1,000 milligrams, often more if you empty the whole can. For anyone managing heart disease or high blood pressure, that's almost a guaranteed hike in those cuff readings, or worse, a risky episode of swelling or dizziness. Next comes potassium salt. This trendy ingredient in reduced sodium varieties is advertised as heart healthy, but is anything but for seniors on specific medications or those with kidney challenges. Sudden potassium surges can tip blood chemistry into dangerous territory, resulting in heart rhythm chaos. Why does the meat in chili always stay so uniform and supple? That's sodium phosphate, an additive flagged by Cleveland Clinic for its impact on kidney health and bone strength, especially as you age. Unfortunately, phosphate additives are much more readily absorbed than the naturally occurring phosphorus found in whole foods, making the risk to kidneys and arteries especially worrisome for seniors. Chemical linings earn another red flag. Most chili cans, acidic as their sauce may be, are still lined with BPA, or its close cousins. In Europe, these are no longer allowed in food packaging, while in the US, they're still commonplace. Your best move if you love chili: cook it yourself using drained, no-salt beans, fresh or no-salt tomatoes, and lean ground turkey or chicken. You'll protect your heart, kidneys, and bones, all while skipping the hidden chemical and sodium traps. What about canned fruit and syrup? Those peaches, pears, and fruit cocktail slices that seem so wholesome are, for seniors, more of a dessert than a healthy snack. Most canned fruits pack 40 grams or more of added sugar per cup, about 11 teaspoons, sending your blood sugar on a roller coaster that can overwhelm your medications and your heart. In one large study published in JAMA, adults who got over 17% of their calories from added sugars were significantly more likely to die of heart disease. For seniors, whose organs already work overtime, these sugar shocks can spark hidden heart trouble or worsen conditions like diabetes. It's not just sugar. Fruit cans are lined with epoxies, usually containing BPA or similar chemicals. Europe banned BPA in food packaging over rising hormonal and diabetes concerns. But shelves are still stocked with cans using BPA lookalikes, neon maraschino cherries, in some fruit cocktails at old-school food dyes, one of which is now flagged for removal due to links with certain cancers. Recalls aren't rare. In 2023, cans of fruit were pulled for containing glass shards or poisonous levels of lead and cadmium, heavy metals that slowly collect in aging kidneys and bones. The solution: rinse and drain any canned fruit in syrup, or only buy varieties packed in water or their own juice. Even better, switch to frozen fruit, which often has no added sugar or risky chemical linings. Pair that with Greek yogurt or a handful of nuts for protein, and you keep the sweet taste without the sugar catastrophe. Canned spinach. probably sounds like a healthy bargain, but it's laced with hidden threats for seniors. Spinach in the can absorbs heavy metals, especially cadmium, from the soil metals that don't cook off and can linger in your kidneys or bones for as long as 15 years. The World Health Organization warns that even small amounts can create a slow but serious risk, especially as renal function declines with age. Sodium is shockingly high here, 2 up to 700 milligrams per cup. Even no salt offerings may contain 200 milligrams or more from processing. Cheaper brands may swap salt for potassium chloride potassium salt. Dangerous for anyone with weak kidneys or who takes heart medications. Natural oxalates in spinach don't vanish during canning and can combine with calcium to form kidney stones. And because spinach is rich in vitamin K, seniors on blood thinners must avoid fluctuations in their intake. 1 extra serving one day. And your medication may not work as well. Cans of spinach are also lined with BPA or chemical cousins. With botulism still a rare but serious risk for low-acid vegetables, canned spinach is doubly concerning for seniors. Choose frozen spinach. Instead, it's flash frozen at peak freshness, skips the salt and most of the heavy metals, and avoids the harmful chemical linings. Or go for fresh, lightly sautéed spinach to maximize nutrition. Moving to canned pasta ravioli, spaghetti, and meatballs in sauce. These are the ultimate in ultra-processed meals. What you see as noodles is really a mix of added sugars, phosphate preservatives, thickeners, and loads of sodium. 1 cup can reach 300 milligrams of sodium, and serving sizes are usually underestimated. For seniors struggling with high blood pressure, even a few forkfuls can spike blood pressure, cause swelling, or strain kidneys already working overtime. Even the tomato sauce is a risk. The acids break down linings more rapidly, especially in hot storage conditions. Pulling more BPA or similar chemicals straight into your meal. Added sugars and corn syrup in the sauce make blood sugar spikes likely. And nitrites in meatballs are linked to dangerous nitrosamines, phosphate additives, which make meat soft and springy. Absorb far more quickly and easily than what you'd get from natural foods. For someone over 60, that can mean accelerated bone loss and added stress on kidneys, problems that often go unnoticed until they become emergencies. Those invisible kid-friendly additives, milk, soy, wheat, egg, sesame, can also cause sudden allergic reactions, which are more serious in people whose immune systems have slowed with age. If you want pasta, cook dried whole grain or high-protein pasta at home. Use no-salt canned tomatoes and flavor it yourself. Your heart, bones, and memory will notice the difference. Having run through the 7 cans that pose the greatest risks, let's turn to something positive. Not every can must go. Some foods are surprisingly safe, even beneficial. After 60, if you choose wisely and take simple precautions, canned beans deserve a place in the senior pantry. They're budget-friendly, conveniently packed, and high in the very nutrients most older adults need: more plant protein, fiber for digestion, potassium, and iron. When processed, beans are cooked and then sterilized in high-pressure systems that eliminate dangerous bacteria like botulism, which is why you rarely hear of outbreaks linked to canned beans. Just rinse your beans under running water for 10 to 30 seconds. That simple step cuts sodium by up to half. Look for no salt added varieties or BPA-free PNI labeled cans for extra peace of mind. If beans make you gassy, start with smaller servings and let your digestive system adapt. Your gut will thank you. Here's a real example. Robert, that postman I mentioned, started rinsing and eating canned beans with a drizzle of olive oil and herbs for lunch instead of deli meats. His cholesterol dropped, his digestion improved, and he had more energy at the end of the day. For seniors, canned beans, when prepared correctly, may help protect your heart, steadies blood sugar, and keep you feeling full with far fewer chemicals and risks. Now, for what may be the biggest surprise: canned tomatoes. Sometimes, the can is actually better than the fresh alternative. Tomatoes are naturally high in acid, making them one of the safest options for avoiding botulism. The heating process for canning not only retains but enhances the availability of lycopene, a powerful antioxidant. Research observed that cooked or canned tomatoes offer more lycopene absorption for aging hearts and eyes than fresh raw tomatoes can provide. Sodium can be a hidden risk, so always choose no salt added or low sodium versions. Double check the label. Some cans contain potassium chloride, something to skip. If your kidneys are vulnerable or you're on potassium-sparing medications. And as with beans, scan for cans labeled BPA-free or packaged in glass for the safest choice. And keep your pantry cool to minimize chemical leaching. One of my clients, Mary, replaced jarred pasta sauce with no-salt canned tomatoes, slow-simmered with garlic and olive oil. Within a few weeks, she reported her stomach felt more settled, her blood pressure improved, and even her grandchildren preferred the taste. Tomatoes are a smart choice for soups, sauces, and stews. Pair them with olive oil to unlock more of those nutrients your heart and brain need. In summary, the world of canned foods is a minefield for anyone over 60, but you're not powerless. You now know the 7 cans to sidestep: Vienna sausages, canned tuna, canned soups, chili, fruit and syrup, spinach, and pasta, each with sodium bombs, sneaky chemicals, or lethal bacteria risks. But you also know the 2 safe bets: beans and tomatoes. When selected and prepared right, bring more benefit than risk. So, now tell me, what cans do you rely on at home? Have you ever had a strange reaction, swelling, or fatigue after a canned meal? Your experience matters. Leave a comment below. We reply to every message, and your questions could help save another viewer's health. Remember, living well after 60 isn't just about avoiding the wrong foods. It's about making simple switches to keep you energetic, clear-headed, and independent for years to come. Share this video with a friend or loved one who's still trusting every can in their kitchen. Your small change today could mean more healthy years and freedom tomorrow. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more science-backed tips on living a healthy and vibrant life after 60. And check out the next video on reversing insulin resistance for even deeper strategies to stay strong. If you've ever felt tired or struggled with bloating after 60, this channel is for you. Here's to safer choices, stronger bodies, and more joyful golden years.